Good morning, Rabbi Sai. The Olam is busy with their prosbos here. The Ilui Nishmas Imi Mirosi Rus Bas Mordechai. Rabbi said the shir started. Yeah. How you doing? Shkoyach for coming, everybody. This is a Daf Yomi shir. You could sign the prosbol here. Show me one of these prosbols, please. Everybody's writing a prosbol. Beautiful. I don't know. Some shuls have like a whole bezdin going on. Okay. Over here we have our own. This is the Daniel Rubinoff, known as the man who's attended the most shurim in remote places, wishing the MDY 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻𝐢𝐻. A good given shiur. Picture of Dan Rubinoff and Eli Deichman at the Lubavitcher Rebbe's oil before Rosh Hashanah. Happens to be yesterday, he's talking to Mark Ashkenazi and he says that he's doing Mesechtes Brachos for Avi. He says, I was reading an email and I was talking about a chassid from Borough Park without mentioning his name, who's an OT. He's pretty sure I'm talking about Eli Deichman. It was back in the day in Brachos. We didn't even know who he was. He's a big part of the shir, the one on the right, if you're wondering. So that's in the oil of the Rebbe. Of course, we have Aaron Hirsch. His tefillah was Niskabel, Baruch Hashem, and he's live in Uman. Here we go, live in Uman. Please see the video performance of Eitan Ogorek and Aaron Hirsch, Avrumi Hirsch at the Tzion in Uman. It sounds like the whole oilam is saying it, but then I realized they weren't. Hold on, here we go. But then they continue singing their own song. Okay. Moshe Hamburg and I, this is Rachamim Epstein on the right. Listen to this, because you can't fly into Uman anymore, so you fly into different countries. They flew into Romania, a 15-hour bus ride. We crossed the Romanian-Ukraine border after 12 hours. Now they're at the border still. They're not at the...
We are sitting on the border between Romania and Ukraine, going to Uman, Pisgah, for Rosh Hashanah. I wanted to say, good morning, Rabosai.
I'm long over to the right. I wanted to send a long thanks for making my year with the Daf. This is Ronnie Sterling. I really appreciate how you include advice and context for a wide variety of Jewish practices, traditions related to the Daf, and find myself spending more time on the Daf and other learning which I attribute to your influence. You see, I do not have yeshiva or day school background, but you've made the Gemara accessible and attainable. Now I understand Devarim 30, 12 and 14. He's right. Torah is accessible. I started with you at the beginning of the cycle. I was able to meet you in Baltimore and attend Bellworks with my son from Lakewood. I also visited MDY RBS after Shabbat at the end of July, but didn't make it back before you left on safari. Each of my experiences with MDY Chaver is amazing since everyone is so supportive, enthusiastic, and modest. Yeah, because they take after me. Thanks again, Ronnie Sterling. Shalom Meir Cohen, the Alaska guy. I'd like to give a Harata Tov for the Learn for Avi initiative. Thanks to that, I did over 64 blot in less than 2 weeks. Avi should have a complete healing immediately. And then in the Ora Merkaz this week, I found this very interesting. I thought I'd share it to Olam. This year, from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, we learned 384 daf consistently. I guess there's an extra month maybe. 7 siyumim. 3,500 charts and pictures, at least. I guess he's just estimating. The MDY YouTube channel went up by 7,200 new subscribers. And listen to this one, 1,950,000 views. Almost 2 million views. WhatsApp, Nachman Seltzer just went like this, because his Yerushalayim, it has 47 million views. So I saw the shake of the hand.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was going wild. I was
it is?
like, whoa, it's not there.
What's the name of that song that has like 10 million? I'm serious.
But not that one.
Not that one, a different.
Sing it?
Yeah, no, sing that.
Yeah.
How many?
No, go on.
No, like 10 million? Seriously. WhatsApp full share members, 3,990 on the WhatsApp group that get the full share. Gemara is distributed 13,000. Longest share, 1 hour and 11 minutes. Yivamis Yutes. Closest shiurim, 3 shiurim within 10 hours. Motzi Shavuos. Most amudim in 1 share, 5 amudim. Yivamis. Peiches. Largest share, 1,700 people. It was more than that. Smallest share, inside MDY, 2 participants. Kesubos, Lamed Gimel. I have no idea what it was. Corona then? No. Oh, Kesubos, Lamed Gimel. Yeah, it was the night before. Very nice. 2 participants. Shiurim outside MDY 71? Does that make sense? I was outside of MDY 71 days. Shiurim without a crowd 28. That's sad. Shiurim without preparation. Shiurim without preparation 1. Tainus Chav Gimel Ayin Sham. Wow, what a scary day that was. All this in just 1 year. The Koilel sponsors the success of our family that we merit to always crown Hashem. The Masechta Li Nishmas is of Baruch ben Moshe Aaron Li Nishmas Moshe Elazar ben Shalom for that hatzlacha b'chol anyanim of my children. Again, I don't know how much I could say over here, but this kid is a yeshiva boy who comes home one day and his father notices a limp and takes him to the hospital and he has a terrible, terrible machla. Jeff Rosner, in zchus of my son, Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Chana, Refuah Shlaima, Amen. Rest of the Masechta, Ofishel Mitzva Motivators, Avram Menashe ben Chana Brocha, Refuah Shlaima. Paras HaChodesh, Li'nishma Zechariah ben Moshe. They're back on?
They're back on.
Wow, my favorite one. Li'nishma Zechariah ben Moshe 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻𝐿. The MDY Family, Li'nishma Ezra 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐿 ben 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻𝐿, Ezra Pollak, all of Hashalom. By the Lock and Lebovic families in Lakewood NJ, because Torah is the best gula. The 4th sponsor of the month, Refuah Shlaima, 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻𝐿 ben Laya. Parents HaChodesh, number 5, as a zchus, that Hashem should watch over me and ensure that I am completely healthy. Hashem knows the person who sponsored this. Parents HaYoim, Simcha and Laya Weichbrod, on the birth of our new granddaughter, Yael Blima, Mazel Tov. Dovid Levy, in honor of our children and grandchildren, and Mrs. Pilchick, in honor of Mendel Pilchick. Here goes again, a wife for a husband, I guess. You are our inspiration. Keep it up. Enjoy the live share. And 3 more people joined. And this, I spoke to many people yesterday. The one thing that everybody kept on telling me, whether it was Leon Welcher and Ofishel and all, they're so nispal from the fact that $5,000, it's literally 2 times Shas. Somebody said, I forgot, maybe it was Leon, that they work so hard to do a Shasathon, to get people to do an entire Shas, and they work a month before, and then money. And here we are, one thing, one person, almost 2 times Shas, 5,000 daf. It's incredible. Mamish incredible. It's a big chizuk for everybody. I got a lot of chizuk from it. Avi Lowenstein Sukkah, Yonatan Amzalig, the entire Makis, 24 daf. Shlomi Dovid Schreiber, Mesechtes Tamid. Wow, beautiful. Boys, here we go. We're on the bottom of Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. A story. I made a video for today, but I noticed that the sound is off. Like I'm speaking and it's like, like one of those foreign movies that the mouth and the... So I said, maybe Yosef can fix it today. It's even more appropriate for tomorrow than it is for today, but I thought more people in America would watch today's shir than tomorrow's shir, so I wanted to show it today. It was about Shemitah, but the mention of Shemitah is in tomorrow's daf. Okay, so we'll show it Beis Hashem tomorrow, maybe you can fix it. You sent me a good copy, but when I put it into my computer and put it back in PowerPoint, it was off. I don't know why. Ayitza. The bayo the tavrchinu l'nechasel migavra. This woman in America, or in English, it's called a prenup. She has property. She's about to get married. She doesn't want her husband to touch her property if something happens to her. So what she does is she tries to hide these properties. Mavriach. How do you say mavriach in English? No. Smuggle. Smuggle is a good word. Very good. She tries to smuggle away these properties. You can't use the word, but that's in Hebrew. Lavriach, and that's the meaning is there. Okay. To shelter. Okay, to shelter. Lavriach. Tavrechinu l'nechasel megavra. So what did she do? She took everything she owns and she gave it over to her daughter. There's something similar now with Shemitah when, let's say, a bottle of wine is produced in the Shemitah year. So it has the Kedusha of Shemitah. So you have to finish every drop of the bottle. You can't just pour it out and you can't leave over in the cup. It's very problematic. It's very hard to deal with. And then there's another thing called biur. I'm just giving away half my video. Biur is you have to destroy it. But what people do is they give it away as hefker. They say, okay, this whole case of wine that I have is hefker. The mavriach it in a way. Yeah. Nobody said what's Shabbos. Here we go. You want the video? Play the video. Here, Gershon, got video? A good Erev Shabbos and a good Erev Rosh Hashanah. You know, we only have like 3 more days left of the year, which means that in 3 more days, Shemitah is over. So I want to give you a practical tip. If you haven't heard about this famous tip before, I want to give it to you. This will help you for Rosh Hashanah, but also I want to talk to you a little bit about Hilchos Shemitah, Kedusha Shvius. You see, I got this pomegranate and all these from a box right over there, down there. There's a big giant box, and it said Hefker. However, this still has Kedusha Shvius. So let me explain. So first of all, I'm going to take this pomegranate. I'm going to chop it right over here. You see this? Then I'm going to take this guy out. Like that, and now we have this. I'm gonna go real quickly because you guys, you know, we're in the middle of a sherry over here. We go like this, and like that, and like that, and then here we go, pop it open. Now, what the Kedusha Shvius that I'm talking about is, typically, on a regular year, I'll take this and throw it in the garbage. But because this has a Kedusha, I need to take out every single one of these guys. Amen. So I got to get everything out. That's the pshat in Kedusha Shvius. Now let me just show you.
Same guys from the roof.
If not, I have to take this and put it in a special garbage can. Now as an American, I had no idea, no clue that this is what you have to do. But yes, this is what they taught me. You have to take a special little garbage can. You call it a pach shmita. You put it in there and let it rot for 2 weeks or something, and then you can throw it out. Now let's just see how this works. Take this. Take an aggressive tool like this. You're gonna whack. Like that.
Everybody knows this trick, right?
Most of it, of this side came out. These guys got to be careful. You got to get them. So we're gonna go again. Get it out. It's almost empty.
This is just a tip.
Gotta get the guys out. Every single one. Otherwise, you're gonna have some issues. Okay, so that's how you do this. Now, once we're holding here, I just want to show you this beautiful bottle of wine from Old Landy, 2009 Castel.
Hint, hint.
Every bottle in Eretz Yisrael, it says right over here, L'lo chashash arla, and we're going to talk about arla today. Tevel u'shvius. You see how it says shvius right over here, shvius. So, I'm not sure exactly. It's probably going to say 2022 or 2023. A bottle like that, you have to be really careful. If you have a really good hechsher, so you know that you could probably drink it, but there's 2 things you got to be careful of. Drink the entire thing because it has Kedusha Shvius. The second thing is, it's something called biur. So you would have to get rid of it. So what they do is they make it hefker. We'll talk about that also. Hefker, and then you take it back. Some hechsherim rely on heter mechira, but you know, Reb Eliashiv, Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and those kind of paiskim don't hold with that mechira. It says it's usher to eat from that. Other paiskim hold. If you're more from the modern Orthodox communities and other communities, you could eat it. So each and every rabbi, ask your rabbi. But again, if it's going to say 2022, 2023, whatever the year is, you got to be very careful that it has a good hechsher and it doesn't have a problem of shvius. And usually if it has a heter mechira, it would say so specifically on the bottle. Have a wonderful Shabbos, a wonderful year. Good gebens your. Now let's get back to the Gemara.
My boy said, Nachman asked that we play it again. So just one more time, real quick.
Wants to know why he wasn't there with you.
Okay, top videos of the year. No, when people don't know these halachas, like myself, I didn't know about this. 2 weeks ago, I didn't know about it. So I had to tell the Olam. Okay, I'm just sharing. Says the Gemara.
So she wanted to be Mavriach Renachasim, so she wrote everything to her daughter. In Tzivei Garsha, she gets married and eventually she gets divorced. Asoyer Lekamed Rav Nachman. Now the daughter says, everything is mine. You gave me the stuff. So they come to Rav Nachman. Kare. He takes the shtar and he rips it up. There's somebody in this room that comes every day. He's sitting right here. I can't say who it is, but Lamais have to say the story. It's like a Shmaka story. There's a guy in the diamond business. And the way it worked was that it's not him. It's somebody there. I shouldn't say the story, but I'll say it low. He said I should say it quietly. So I'll say it. Basically, the way it works is if you sell diamonds, you say, and you write large amounts of money. I owe you 20,000. Tomorrow, you trade these pieces of paper. But there's a lot of trust in the district. There's a guy that he wasn't so trustworthy, and he comes over to a certain person, another guy, and he says, not somebody from the shir, but he was there, he saw it. He says, you owe me $20,000, which he did, but I don't have the shtar. I lost it. So the guy's okay, fine, here, $20,000. A week later, that guy produces that shtar, the same shtar. That's not acceptable in the diamond district. So the guy says, oh, you're right. You owe me. Let me see. He takes it, he looks at it, he goes, he ripped it up into shreds. Here, take it back. And that was it. There's no more chayv. Kare, he took it and he ripped it up into shreds. The daughter has no right to be teveh with the shtar. As Rashi explains in the beginning, that the mother tells the daughter, I'm only writing this to you to be mavriach l'nechasim, to shelter the properties from my future husband. Kare Rav Nachman shtar. Says Gemara, Ozer Rav Anon lekamed Mar Ukva. So Rav Anon comes to Mar Ukva, who was the Av Bezdin Omar Lei Chazim Mar. Check this out. Nachman Chakla, the farmer Nachman. Look at him. The guy that doesn't know how to learn. Nachman. He calls Rav Nachman. Look at him ripping up shtaris. Omar Lei, Emily, easy. Tell me, my beloved, sometimes Rashi says, or tell me the facts. Now, exactly what happened. So if you recall, we had a very similar story. Does anybody remember? It happens to be, it's the same exact people. And I'll remind you the story. The story was when he called him Huna. He called me my friend. He called Rav Huna his friend. And Rav Huna called him Anan, right? Same people. And Rav Huna was shocked. How does he treat me like that? And then it turns out Rav Huna didn't even know what the word Marzev, what was it? It was like it was like a bar. You say it in Hebrew, like Marzev, something like that. Anyway, you don't even know that word, and you're calling Rav Huna my friend. But same story happened again. He's calling Rav Nachman, Chakla, worse than just Nachman, Chakla. Anyway, so Mar Ukva said the same thing to him as he said in that story. He went to Mar Ukva in that story also to complain. And he said the same words. Easy, in our Masechta. This is what happened. From here, the Chaim proves that, first of all, you're allowed to hear a story. You're allowed to. Mar Ukva was the Av Bezdin, so it's his responsibility to hear somebody make a mistake, as Rav Nachman make a mistake. But also he says that if you hear a story, somebody tells you something, so and so did, he heard what somebody did to me, X, Y, Z, and shul, this, that. It's your chiyuv to be melamed zchus and say, let me hear what happened exactly. Let me hear the details. Let's take it back a little bit. Maybe the guy wasn't such a rush after all. Calm the other person down. And also there's a Ramosha, interesting Ramosha Feinstein, that it's also for a Rebbe to tell his class, I need to know who did this and this and this. You have to tell me the truth. Somebody has to come forward here. Because you're teaching the kids to talk Lashon Hara, says Ramosha Feinstein. Says the Gemara. Omerlei, shtar mevrachas kohamris. This is the story. So, says Mar Ukva, wait a minute, you're talking about a shtar mavrachas. She's trying to shelter her property, she's trying to be mavrich her properties. This is what Shmuel said. I'm a poisek, I got permission to paskin. If such a thing will come to me, in other words, the person receiving the shtar is going to be a bad person, like this daughter, trying to use a shtar that she knows that she has no right to use, it was only to get away from the husband. If something came like that to me, Akirano. Literally what Rav Nachman did. Shmuel says he's supposed to rip it. That's what Rav Nachman did. He ripped it. Says the Talmud to Rav Nachman, I know, I hear what you're saying that Shmuel said you should rip it. But isn't this case different? Nobody in the right mind takes all their belongings and gives it to a random person. Shalom Aleichem. Wow. Didn't know see. That's because it's to a random person. People take all their belongings and give it to the children. So maybe to the daughter, she went ahead and gave everything she owned. Believe Shalom. Don't use a umdana. Don't say, oh, it's more likely than not that she didn't mean to give it to her. Maybe she did want to give it to her. Says Gemara, a person loves themselves more than their own daughter. And again, we can use the umdana. It's obvious that what she was doing here was only trying to get away from the husband, but not to actually give her the property. She wasn't trying to give her daughter property now. If somebody actually wants to shelter properties from her future husband, so what should she do? We had this term earlier in the Masechta. Pasim is, again, you go to somebody and say, I'm writing you a shtar, but please understand that the shtar is nothing. It's a joke. Between me and you, there's no shtar. This is just to get away from the other guy. The person receiving the shtar could use the shtar against them and say, okay, you said XYZ, but I have a shtar to say otherwise. I own all your real estate. But what you could do is, you write in the shtar, when the time comes, and I see that my husband wants to grab these fields, at that moment, retroactively, I'm giving you all the fields. Ask the Gemara, but this is a question on Shmuel. Why? It's only because she wrote mefurish that I have the option at any given time to invoke this shtar, to make the shtar work. If you didn't put in those special words, it's two special words. The person receiving the shtar has a valid shtar because he doesn't have the magical words in it. So why does Shmuel say that there's no magical that the shtar is void? That we have to understand why the person wrote it in the first place. No, that only works if you put two special words in. And our shtar doesn't have those two words. So why is the shtar bottle? Again, we're going with umdin the muchach. I don't know if that's the appropriate word. Rashi uses some sort of lashon like that. You look it up. I don't have time to. I can't even see the word. But we're talking about umdina, like the obvious here. What's going on behind the scenes? What's going on in her head? Like dvarim shebelev, sort of. Habekula. If she gives away everything, now we know what's going on. Nobody in their right mind gives away 100% of their belongings. They always leave a little bit to themselves, 10%, 20%. But when she gives away 80% of her belongings to her daughter, then it's a real giving, then she gave it forever. Ask the Gemara, okay. We're talking about there's a wife, a husband, and a third party. So let's say the daughter in our case. If the daughter doesn't acquire the belongings, so then what happens to the belongings? The Gemara understands it remains by the wife. But why? Now there's a husband involved. So she go to the husband. Listen to this, Rabbi Yisrael. Again, this is all in the head. Yiddishkeit is in the head. There's something called, as we learned yesterday, just look at the last line in the Mishnah on Ayin Ches Amud Aleph, the first Mishnah of the parak, that there's a concept called Nechasim Shein Yiduim. Reb Shimon is the one that invented this concept. If the husband doesn't know about property in a different country, we said yesterday, then he didn't have intent to marry her based on the property. If he thought about the property like the guy that came and he got the keys, remember that story yesterday? If he's thinking, I'm going to marry this woman because I'm going to get property, so he has his mind on the property, so he deserves some of it, so to speak. But if he never knew about it, or he already gave up on it, like in our case, he comes into the marriage, he says, I heard you have buildings. No, I give it to my daughter. Oh, and he married her anyway. So therefore, he already gave up on it. So it's not part of what he deserves payers from. Okay. There's a wife. Do we have time for this? Okay. It's famous anyway, but we'll say it. We change it around for the daf. The wife tells the husband, I'm marrying on condition that I get one drawer. That drawer, you never look inside that drawer. So he says, okay. 20 years later, he sees the drawer slightly ajar. She's not home. He takes a peek in the drawer. He finds $100,000 and 2 trays of eggs. So what's going on here? $100,000 and 2 trays of eggs. She comes home and says, listen, I got to admit, I got to confess, but I opened up the drawer, I see $100,000. What is going on here? She says, listen, every time I lie to you, I put 1 egg in the drawer. 2 trays. You lied to me 24 times in 20 years? Wow. She says, no. The drawer only holds 50 eggs. I had to sell the rest. Okay, fine. Says the Mishnah. Naf l'lock safim. If what happened? Oh yeah. The Mishnah is sponsored by the MDY Family group. Oh really? What's the lashon now? So you got to send it to me. It's sponsored by Moshe. I should know about Peh. That's Benny knows the lashon. Moshe Cohen, the zchus, hatzlacha in parnasa, and limanat Torah is the best gula.
Lock and Lebovic.
I know. Okay. Even the sponsorships are funny in this year. It's unbelievable. So again, we discussed the entire Masechta as cause the husband has to free her, redeem her from when she gets captured. So he has the right, if she brings the field in, whatever, he has the right to the produce. Now what if she brings in cash, cold cash? You look up them karka. They are forced. She says, I like cash. Cash is king. He says, I like wheat. I like to eat. So we force her to buy with the cash karka, real estate. Paris. Now, Paris means I'm going to eat the fruit, but till the next day there'll be more fruit. And there's a principle. The principle stays as is. So there's a principle, there's the keren, and there's the fruit. Principle is supposed to stay. Something's supposed to remain from it. Otherwise, it's not principle. And fruit is something that usually comes back. Says the Mishnah, Paris Atlushim, Minakarka. Let's say she inherited, she was Yeresh, fruit that's detached. So it's like cash. But now we view, she doesn't have a field. It was beautiful. Right in front of my house, a giant box, this big, with a big, somebody that owned a pomegranate orchard just put down for the neighborhood, free, but it's very hard to deal with. You have to, when I did that video, so some of those pits went on the floor, you go like this. You have to pick every single one up, and you have to eat it. If it's, what?
Fill the thing with water, do it underwater.
Oh, you do it underwater? Interesting, but then you lose that juice, the juice of the pomegranate. No, there's extra juices besides the pits. Okay, and then everything, the water becomes kedusha shvis. What are you gonna do? I almost had to put my shirt in one of those garbage cans. Hi, doctor. Yeah. I'm saying if you have a peel of a cucumber, it has a little bit of food on it. This Avi was telling me that an orange peel might also have to go in the garbage because you do the zest. The other peel is not. Okay, fine. When you live in Eretz Yisrael, we'll go through it. Now, interesting. You hear Rabbi what's going on here? The fruit turned into what? Keren. It's principle because that's all she has. She doesn't have a field that's going to produce more. She got a box of pomegranates. Box of pomegranate is principle. It's no longer Paris. Paris doesn't mean fruit. Paris means produce that keeps on coming back every year. She inherited one box of fruit. It's not coming back next year. That's your carrot. So what do you do with it? You flip it into a producing field. You log a karka, and once you have a field, then he eats the fruit. Paris, Hamechubar makarka. So these fruit are attached to the ground. Omar Meir, Shamim Isa Kama Yafa Beperes Vikama Yafa Beperes. Basically, what's going on here is she inherited a field now, but the fruit are not ripe. It's going to take another 2 months for the fruit to ripe. You can't just take the fruit and say, okay, so you have to understand how much it's worth today. What is it worth today? What is somebody willing to pay for a field that has 1 million pounds of half-ripe fruit? Okay, you do the math. How much is it worth without the fruit? Whatever the difference is, with that money you buy a field, and again, the husband eats the produce. Anything that's attached to the ground is his. If she came in, this is how she received it, and it was detached from the ground, that's hers. And what do you do with that? You buy real estate with it, and you eat the produce. So it's a bunch of fancy words, was basically saying the same exact thing. The Gemara is going to even have to explain why it's different than Tanakama. But where you have an advantage, the same exact place you have an advantage, you're going to have a disadvantage. When she comes into the marriage, or when the fruit comes into the marriage, it doesn't matter. She came in, or later on, she inherited fruit. That advantage, where it's good for the husband, is also bad for the husband when they dissolve the marriage. And they get divorced. The Mishnah will explain, when he has a disadvantage, then it's good for him when he gets divorced. 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻. How does it work? She got a Yerusha of fruit that's attached to the ground. So attached fruit, when you come in, they're his, and when he leaves, they're hers. And when they are detached from the ground, we explained that's considered keren, even though the detached is considered keren, so it's hers. They're getting divorced. It's unbelievable. They're getting divorced. He goes back to the field 3 days later and takes all the detached fruit from the field. It says the Gemara, just so you should know, in terms of real estate, what has more value? Says the Gemara, Shita, Aro, Bate. Oh, that's a very good shaila. He just has the right to eat from it. L'chayra. That's what we see from the sugi. He just has the right to eat. Because he had the right to eat it. At that point, he was like kind of because he had that right. I hear what you're saying. Interesting. Says the Gemara. When you have two things, the wife says she's conservative. I want to buy a field. I like fields. And he says, no, I like real estate. I like houses. What do you do? So in the time of the Gemara, at least, I don't think it's like that today. Ara, the field wins out. Why? Because houses have depreciation. It happens to be a crazy rule. I don't know how it goes around the world, but in America also. You could buy a beautiful building, and let's say you buy a building in New York, you buy it for $1 million, the next year it's worth $1.2 million. Like in Bet Shemesh, it was worth 50% more than it was last year. But legally, the American law says that the building went down in value because of the depreciation. You use the stairs and the elevator and the this and that, so everything, eventually you're going to have to rebuild the building after 200 years. So it goes down in value. They view it in terms of taxes, they view it as it goes down, even though in reality it went up in value. But the Gemara here, in Israel, you're right. You do not have these laws in Israel, I promise you. If you buy a building, you have to pay double than it costs them when you come out, and 3 times the more than you come in, and you can only own one. They don't want you to own any real estate here, for whatever reason. Okay. In America, they do b'daf, they want people to invest in real estate. 1031s, the whole thing. Not going into it now. 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻𝐿 says, but for whatever reason, a field is more valuable, says the Gemara. I own some fields, literally, that I rent out to farmers. They're worthless. You could have 1,000 acres. They're worth like $10. It's like, but the real estate on it, because it came with I only own it because I own a piece of real estate, that's very valuable. Okay. But David Dikle, you own homes, a house. Should I buy with this cash, a Yerusha? Should I buy with the cash a house or palm trees? But okay, over here, houses are better. Why? Because a palm tree could go bad. Dikle ve'ilane, I have other fruit trees or a palm tree. Dikle, palm trees are better. Ilane ve'gufne, fruit trees or vines. Ilane. So I found this very interesting. Everybody knows that a vineyard is much more valuable than an apple tree. But at the end of the day, where are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck? What's going to last longer? The tree. And I thought it's appropriate for Rosh Hashanah also. When we sit there on Rosh Hashanah, we take our Rosh Hashanah Kabbalahs. Do you go real big or you go small? You're supposed to go small. You're supposed to go with the tree. Don't go, I want a vineyard. I want a small thing, small little Kabbalah. I'm gonna say Asher Yotzar, a small, tiny thing. The small things, but the ones that last. Not the big ones that have a high probability of failing. Says the Gemara. So the Gufne Ilani comes first. Iba Zerata, Abba Zerata, or whatever. Sorb. I have a picture. Iba. It's like these sorb apples. They're basically not really fruit. It's more for the firewood. Uperi the kavri and fish in a pond. So this is very interesting. How do you view fish in a pond? If you take a fish out, you're not going to get another one tomorrow. Same thing when you chop wheat. So is it pere or not pere? Do we view it as produce? It doesn't reproduce. The zarto also, you're going to chop the wood down, you're not going to get another tree tomorrow. Therefore, there's a machlokes whether it's considered the principle or not. Klada milsa, gizay machlef, if it rejuvenates a bit, it could grow back. Pera, it's considered fruit. Gizay machlef, karna. If it doesn't, then it's considered principle. Whoa, 5 minutes only. Anybody want to watch another video for 3 minutes? Person steals an animal. A woman had an animal, and that animal produced a child, or whatever you call it. And he stole it, so he has to pay kefil. Now, who owns the kefil? Lo isha, goes to the wife. Kiman, says Gemara. Now, in honor of Yankee Baum, in honor of my uncle, Rabbi Chanan Pressman, as zchus for a year filled with mazel bracha hatzlacha. Now, here's very interesting. So Rashi points out here, and this is how you have to understand the whole sugya. If the mother, the mother cow, the mother sheep dies, then there goes the whole principle. So therefore, I'm concerned that the mother's going to die and the wife is not going to have anything. So the vlad is also considered principle. It's not like a tree that keeps on producing apples. Says the Gemara, but that's like your Rabban, like your Chana. This Anya, vlad be'emes melug lebal. It should go to the husband, not to the wife. So that's mamish against what we just said. Vlad be'emes melug, the offspring of a shivcha, leisha, to the wife. V'chanami ben achi Yoshua Amar. Also, both of them go to the husband. But nobody says that the vlad, the offspring of a cow, goes to the wife. Nobody says that. Says the Gemara, no, it could go according to everybody. We're talking about a fine that was given on the child of an animal. So it's 2 steps removed. The child that, but Taisa explains differently and better. To understand the sugya, I don't think anybody argues. Tais says, what about a husband? Does a husband get the offspring of a cow? She inherited a bunch of sheep, and the sheep had offspring, and those sheep had offspring. Yes, of course the husband gets the offspring of the offspring. Why not? What we're talking about is not because it's 2 steps removed. We're talking about it because it came me'alma. Look in Taisis is the Lord. It came me'alma. The first words in Taisis is Dibra Hamasik Peira. The Daf Yomi, the Dasi me'alma, it flew down from the sky. In other words, it was unexpected revenue of a fine. That the husband doesn't deserve. But the offspring of an offspring, the husband does deserve. Interesting, you have to understand that in the Pshat and the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Chananya says there's no difference between the offspring of an animal, offspring of a human being, of a shivcha. It all goes to the husband. Why? Because he's not concerned that maybe the slave is going to die. He's not concerned that maybe the sheep is going to die. Again, talking about Rosh Hashanah, the yisoid is to be chayshish l'misa, I think. I don't know if it's true. Maybe the people say it's not such a great idea. But if you think to yourself, if people would know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said about them on Rosh Hashanah, I think they would daven a lot better. If somebody knew that Chas Shalom is going to get a disease or Chas Shalom is going to die, he'll daven like a Meshugana. So you have to be chayshish l'misa on Rosh Hashanah. But okay, he's not chayshish l'misa. El Rabbanon, ich chayshish l'misa, afilu v'la be'emes malug nami loy. Then if they are concerned about death, then even the offspring of the animals should not go to the husband. Should always go to the wife, because we're chayshish that the mother is going to die and she's going to be left with nothing. And if they're not concerned about death, they should go to the husband. Says Gemara, no, they are concerned about that. As long as there's something left, a minimal amount left, that's Karen. We said Karen means that there's nothing left, there's something left. The Allah is like Chananya. That what? That the vlad of the shivcha goes to the husband. That if she gets divorced, she has the ability to take her slave back. She has a sentimental connection with the slave. She grew up in South Africa. You see this, they were telling me about these slaves. They push it. Maids. No. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, but I misspoke. Maids. The guy was telling me, a yeshiva guy, he called up his maid to ask her how to make the bed. He didn't call his mother, calls it the maid. Hi, how do you make the bed?
Mother doesn't know how to make a bed.
She doesn't.
Right?
But he does. Okay, there's something called Shevel Beis Avia. We're going to see in the Mishnah. He says, Omar Rav Nachman. What if she brought a goat? And he milks the goat. I have to tell you this Maisa. I know it's 8 o'clock. The Olam is going to like this Maisa. The guy's waiting. A good Maisa for Rosh Hashanah. A Maggid comes, a Maisa Shaya. Maggid comes to the city and he says, on the way here, I found a dead person. We got to make a levaya. So he makes a levaya. He says, listen, Rabbi Sai, this guy, I heard about this guy. Never spoke a word of Lashon Hara his entire life. Never ate any machal asur. He's mamish, makbid, he was vegetarian, the whole thing. Unbelievable. He's never heard a fly. Isn't that unbelievable? We have to mamish sit here and cry. And when he's done with the hesped, he removed the blanket and he saw a dead goat. Dead goat. He says, dead goats. Goats don't talk Lashon Hara. They don't eat anything that they're not supposed to eat. They don't eat meat with the bad hechsher. They don't drink wine. But we're not goats. We're human beings. We have to do. Not to do. Okay, you could be a goat and a goat. You don't go to Olam Haba for not doing. You go to Olam Haba for doing. You got to do the daf. You understand? Thank you. The story is about a chamar, but I have to say goat because we're talking about a goat. It says Ma'aseh Shaya with a chamar. V'rochel gizasa. V'tarnagoylas levitzasa. You have to be a goat. Fine. You better take you whatever you want. So a sheep, you could shear its wool. Tarnagoylas has eggs. V'dekel peroisav. Oichal v'hoylach at shetichla akeri. You keep on going and going and going until it dies. Why? Rashi explains because every single one of these things mentioned has something that remains. You have a feather from a chicken. You get something little, so the keren is there. Omer of Nachman, Eli Blima, if she brought a coat into the marriage, payro, that's considered produce because you wear it, you get enough from wearing it. You keep on wearing it until there's almost nothing left. Kiman kaitana, desanya hamelach v'achol hareza peiros. I can't even show this video, but I'm going to show it anyway. No, I just thought it's fascinating that 2 days ago I was learning on YouTube, of course. And all of a sudden, they give you these. They suggest certain videos. So I'm in the middle of learning Torah. I was like, this video, I'm not going to look at it, but it looked interesting. It said the 5 most dangerous jobs. I'm serious. They suggested the 5 most dangerous jobs. 2 out of those 5 are right here. This guy, I thought it was Ashgacha Pratis, and it's in this week's parasha. Gofris and Melach. Those are the 2 most dangerous jobs. You know what? We'll show it on the video later. Yosef, maybe you put on the video or something. They're waiting for davening. If somebody owns like a salt pit, you bring in water from the ocean, or in this case, in this video, they bring it up from the desert, and then it dries out. They make per ton $2 to $4, and they get blind from it eventually, it says in the video,
because of the different things in the sun. Okay, very, very gishmakis job. Hareze peiros. That's considered peiros. Pir shel gofris, sulfur. Now sulfur, by the way, it says in the video also is to make matches, but also, I didn't know this, to make white sugar, you need sulfur. And we use it all day long in different things. We kill each other with bullets and stuff like that. You need sulfur. You have to go into a volcano with the smoke and the whole thing. Machfoire shel tzrif, alum, Rashi says the word alum, alamine, why? Because again, the shaila, is it something that rejuvenates? Sulfur doesn't rejuvenate. Or there's an endless supply of salt. Endless supply. So some say it's considered keren, the chamarim, peiros, it's considered peiros. Let's just do it to the Mishnah, so we start from a fresh place. It seems like the same thing. According to Reb Shimon, if it's mechuber, when you leave the marriage, then it goes to the wife. Rabbi Isai, Motzi Shabbos 9:30. Have a wonderful day, Shabbos. Shkoyach.
એટલે અને બીજા પછી વધી જાય ને મીઠું પછી એક થી દંતારો હાલે નહીં પછી બે જણાને જ ખેંચવો પડે.
But working here can be really dangerous. The life expectancy of a farmer is about 60 years because not only do they face extreme temperatures,
they are dealing with subsoil brine which is highly acidic, and exposure to that subsoil brine also comes with a lot of problems in skin.
મને તો પહેલા તો ચામડીના રોગ થાય છે. એટલે એક મહિના લગી તો રૂજ જ ન આવે. અને ચામડીનો રોગ ઈ પહેલો જ કારણ કે પહેલા પેનિયાથી ને શરૂ થાય.
many of the 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻 become blind from years of the bright sun reflecting off the white landscape. And because they're so far from the nearest village, accessing medical care is often too expensive.
અમાર નાના જો આવડી તો મીઠું છોટી ગયું ને તે ઈ ભાંગતા હતા અને એમને પગે જાણકી ફોડકી દઈ ને પછી
or devil's gold. Sulfur is used in everything from matches, fireworks, and gunpowder to detergent, paper, and batteries. It's what makes our sugar white. Working conditions inside 𝐒𝐡𝐤𝐻 volcano are so dangerous, many miners don't live past 50 years old.
Nama saya Mister, saya sebagai penambang belirang di 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐻𝐿.
Miners like Mr. carry up to 200 pounds of sulfur on their backs, up and down these steep cliffs. And Mr. has been doing it for 30 years.